Everybody east of the Rockies, get ready to hop on the Polar Express. What's going on, guys? Certified meteorologist Jonathan Kegas back with you. The bitter cold already starting to inch into the upper Midwest and northern plains. That is going to spread south and east through Thanksgiving and into December. We'll take a look at that timeline. Some rumblings about a big snowstorm on the horizon. We will take a peek at that. I do think people near the lakes are going to get crushed with some lake effect. And then the hurricane hype train is back with just a few days left to go in the season. There's rumblings of a tropical system in the Caribbean. We're going to dive all into that coming up. Before we get into this video, if you do want to stay updated on the rest of hurricane season, just a few days left. And of course, the bigger deal now as we slide into winter, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. If you want the weather without the hype, without the garbage, and want to learn something and just talk about the science and meteorology, you've come to the right place. Tell a friend and hit that subscribe button. All right, I want to show you one of the kind of cooler things that I like to show off, and it's this backwards trajectory model from NOAA. I ran this before with the first cold blast, running it again, and it shows kind of the source region of these bitter cold blasts or whatever kind of air parcel that you're tracking. So I have this centered to Orlando again because that is where I am based, but it doesn't matter. It's the air coming from everywhere. And if we would have ran this last week, the air was coming straight up for where Santa Claus is hanging out. This is coming due south from the North Pole as of November 26th. It's going to do this little loop-de-loop around the Hudson Bay, and you see where the bitter cold is in that deep, dark purple. That's what's being dislodged and already starting to work its way into places like Montana, the Dakotas, Minnesota. That's cold front number 2. That is the polar front. That's the secondary front. The first front that's coming through that will bring slightly cooler air is where you see the yellows turn to blues. That is the less impressive round of cold air. It's this guy back here that is going to really get December started off on a super, super cold note. And you see that really starting to slide down the Rockies as we move forward in time. So I want to go forward here. We're going to look at November 28th. So we're going to start things off on Thanksgiving. And here's the deal. The yellows and oranges represent above average temperatures. So we have a warmer than normal, just slightly, for Thanksgiving. Everywhere else is cooler than normal. And you start to see the deep dark purples. Again, the darker the purple on this map, the colder the temperature anomalies are. So that's where it's really starting to settle in and start to creep in into the Dakotas. I'll show you some numbers in just one second. Look at the purple and blue expand as we get into the weekend following Thanksgiving and as we get into the first couple of days of December. Just look at this. This is through December 3rd now. Big batch of colder air. We can take a look at some of the anomalies for North Dakota. Anywhere from 20 to 30 degrees below normal. That's going to be the same deal as we get in towards St. Louis, back to the Northeast, closer to Pennsylvania, into Florida, about 15 to 20 degrees cooler than normal. I should say colder than normal, because into the Central Florida area, we're going to have the shot to get widespread 30s as well. So this last round of cooler air that came through last weekend, this air mass is going to be much, much colder than that. So the anomalies, again, pushing more like the 20 degrees below normal. So for that now, I want to show you some numbers here, courtesy of the Weather Bell model. And I want to look at the north and west first, because this is where we're going to start to see the air start to slide through first, of course. It's got to go into the northern part of the country. So we're going to fast forward this out. And you can already see here as we get towards the Tuesday, the 26th, that is when we really start to see that bitter cold arrive. Let's take this further out and look at the core of below normal temperatures, especially getting into the Dakotas. This is going to be Monday, December 2nd now. Let me bring out my telestrator. And again, here is North Dakota. Here is South Dakota. That is going to be teens early in the morning. Below digit teens are going to be possible in parts of northern North Dakota. Let's take this further out into the future, and you can kind of see another blast of really cold air. This one looks to be centered a little further east. So for that, we're going to take a look at the Northeast. We're going to back this train up as I was looking at the models a little bit earlier. We're going to go back to the earlier run. And this is going to be, watch the colors change here. So this is going to be Friday morning. This is going to be Black Friday. So if you're trying to get the deals, if people even do that anymore and wait outside in those long lines, here we go in Minnesota. Look at this. We have single digits and teens. The wind is also going to be howling. It's going to feel like they are below zero for sure. Then the cold really expands. This is getting into December 1st. We have lows in the teens and 20s through Pennsylvania, Ohio, into New England, single digits through Minnesota. And again, this is all below where we should be for this time of the year. I mean, I know it gets cold in the upper Midwest and northern plains in winter, but this is much, much colder than that. And then going forward, notice how long this chill sticks around. Let's just go way out. This is a third blast of cold air, and this one might even be the biggest one yet. This one out towards December 11th in the morning. You start to see the below zero temperatures kind of sneaking into the screen here. That is going to be a third blast of cold air as we get into that second week of December. So, what I'm trying to say through all of that long winded mess is that we are going to get things started quickly in terms of the cold when it comes to winter. I wanted to show you this, and this is going to be the snowfall forecast, the model forecast here, that goes out through December 4th. And I know that there are talks all over the place. There's models being shared everywhere. And you guys know it from hurricane season. And it's even more finicky with the winter storms. More have to come together to really get the big snowstorm than what it does to get a hurricane out there. We're just really tracking the where the thing goes in terms of tropical systems. You need to have the upper level system, the surface level system all come together and hit the sweet spot and then strengthen just right so that it doesn't bring up enough warm air to get rain. What I want to show you here is that I do think the slam dunk out of the next week, and this is really going to be if anybody's driving around the Great Lakes, especially downwind east of the Great Lakes for Thanksgiving, trying to come home, might have some issues here because of a big time lake effect snow machine. So before we get into some of the nuances with the bigger deal, I wanted to bust out the telestrator again, and I wanted to show you and talk a little bit about lake effect. So to get lake effect, you need to have cold air going over the warm lakes. So the lakes are still relatively warm. They're cold to jump in, but I mean, from a temperature difference perspective, from the temperature about a couple thousand feet above your head to the lake, it is going to be on the warmer side. Note here, it looks like, and I'll show you the upper level pattern just one second. We're going to have an upper low hanging right up here, and then we're going to have the winds kind of cutting across. So, at least right now, and again, we're going to be watching the position of that upper low over the next few days. Like for Buffalo, for instance, how we always seem to get crushed. We get that fetch right off the lake there. We call that a fetch. So the longer the fetch, the better opportunity it is. You get those intense lake effect snow bands. So for Buffalo or just South Orchard Park where the Bills play, if you want feet of snow, you want a long fetch out of the south and west cutting across Lake Erie. This is going to be more westerly. So this is going to be more for Cleveland, Erie, just to the south of Buffalo. If this holds, right around Syracuse and Watertown get crushed here. And then east of Lake Michigan, Muskegon into Michigan. Grand Rapids, certainly up and the UP of Michigan, wrecked with that lake effect snow. So while there's still going to be question as to if there's going to be a big snowstorm, the pattern's not all the way there for that. It is all the way there for cold and lake effect. The one thing I will say, if you're rooting for a big snowstorm along the I-95 corridor for Thanksgiving, I don't think that is going to happen, although social media is lit up saying that that is going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. If there is going to be some snow, it's going to focus on interior New England. So keep that in mind. I know we need a good snowstorm along the I-95 corridor. We may have a shot over the next 2 weeks. I don't think we're going to do it for Thanksgiving, though, so just keep that in mind. So that is that. So I want to talk more about lake effect snow, and then we'll get into the tropics if you're interested in that. And again, you can skip through the chapters and stuff. The thing about lake effect snow is it's really not a storm. It's really not. It's crazy. It's all about the wind, warmer temperatures above the lake water to create that instability, and then that breeze blows it downwind. So here's the deal. This is where our upper level low is sitting, right in that black L. Okay, this is at 850 millibars. So we're looking at the 850 millibar level, a couple thousand feet above the surface, because that's the big deal that you need for the difference in temperature. You need about 13 degrees Celsius difference between the lake water temperature and the air at 850 millibars. And also, you want to look at the wind direction at 850 for kind of pinpointing where those bands are going to set up. Now, this is still a little further out in time, so we do still have to really wait to get clarity on who can get maybe an intense few mile wide band. You guys know it if you live around the lake. Some places like Buffalo, I keep using Buffalo as an example because I just feel like that is the one that we always see because you have to shovel the Bills Stadium to get the game going on there. But a lot of times you'll see sunshine in downtown Buffalo, and then Orchard Park ends up with 5, 6, 7 feet of snow. And just in that little bit, because of the change in wind out of downtown Buffalo to a more west southwesterly component, that's when Orchard Park gets crushed versus the city of Buffalo. And the same goes for, say, into Indiana, just south of Lake Michigan, um, into Syracuse, into Watertown. You need that west to east. You need that long fetch. So you want to get the biggest distance along the lake. So anyway, there's that. There are the streamlines. So there's the wind coming through at 850, and it's more like that, kind of just how we showed you. So the model is going to pretty much take that straight up and look at the wind going across the lake. So that's going to be anybody to the south and east of Erie at this point. So Erie, Pennsylvania, Cleveland, Ohio, Akron, Ohio, anywhere east of Lake Michigan, which is pretty much the whole left side of the west side of the mid of Michigan there. Big lake effect snow machine coming with this blast of cold air. There could be a lot of it. So we just heads up if you're going to grandma's house near the lakes for Thanksgiving, it's going to be on your trip back where you might run into some issues either by air or by car, certainly by car. But again, planes aren't going to fly through that. They're going to have trouble landing. Okay, so thank you guys for listening to all that. And if you're still with me, hit that thumbs up button. It's great to see everybody post in the comments. I'm very responsive to the comments. We got to talk about something. Boy, if you have followed this channel since the inception, and thank you guys, we've crossed 100,000 subscribers, the best weather community on social media, because you guys know the garbage that's out there. And forgive me if I get heated. There are people saying that Tony is coming. Tony's coming. And yeah, I don't know that Tony is coming. So I'm going to show you a couple of things here. It's just for clicks. It's those channels that don't do well in wintertime, so they're going to just kind of hype those clicks on the tropical thing. And you guys know who I'm talking about. Okay? Like it's just getting ridiculous. It's exhausting, it's nauseating. Thankfully, we get to shut that down for a few good months. But nonetheless, here we go. This is going to be the European ensemble. You guys remember, there's different conditions put into each member of the ensemble. The more L's you see popping up here, the better opportunity that we have going through. I'll turn on the other one to get some extra clarity here. Look at this. One little member has a puny little tropical thing going through, and that might not even be tropical at that time. That's the Euro. So the Euro has nothing, okay? Look at this. Oh boy. The Canadians got a couple greater than 1,000 millibar lows. 2 of them. It's crazy, guys. It's crazy. They're using the GFS that goes a little bit more ham. So there it is right there. Couple want to go in. I don't know. I don't know. It's literally just for clicks. That's all I can say. If we do get something to develop, it's going to be super weak. It's going to be hard to get a name because there's wind shear increasing like crazy with those fronts that we just talked about that will be bringing the colder air down. Yeah, I don't know. I'm at a loss. But hey, the best thing I can say is we are just 4 days away from the end of hurricane season. Certainly, we can still get some postseason shenanigans in the Caribbean, really now in the North Atlantic with storms that get out over the relatively warmer water there. But in terms of impacts to the United States, it's over. We can finally close the books on that. So don't trust the hurricane hype. Believe me, David and I will be back on here June 1st. We'll be on here plenty of times before June 1st talking about winter and cold and all that stuff. We love all kinds of weather. We'll be back on here June 1st to set the record straight, though, on who you need to not pay attention to on YouTube. They might try to sell you that they are a credible source, but they are misleading you, and it's a shame, and they should know better. They should know better. That's all I'm going to say about that. Alrighty, guys. Thank you a ton for being here. Thank you again for just hanging out with us this hurricane season, for trusting us this hurricane season. There's a lot of noise. You just heard me, talk about that trash again. But I really do appreciate you guys. You helped grow this channel to over 100,000 subscribers. That milestone is for everybody. We are a collective group. We like to shoot ideas off of everybody in the comments. We're all a team, 100,000 plus strong, to kind of go after that social media hype, that YouTube hype. And we're going to keep on doing it, even if we get the pushback, because it's important. And I feel that some people may be taken advantage of, especially that don't have the best resources, when they see somebody that claims that they're credible, and they just keep on keeping on. And obviously, if they say they're credible, people are going to trust them. But nonetheless, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the trust you put in us. I appreciate the conversation that we had all hurricane season long. And I hope that it continues well through the winter, well through the spring, as we break down patterns on the cold side of the season, as we would enter severe weather season in the spring. And then as we get back into hurricane season, which I am ready not to think about for quite some time as we get back to June 1st. But again, hurricane season, a very active and unfortunately impactful, the second costliest hurricane season on record, and still climbing with losses still needing to be tallied, is going to officially close in 4 days. We're thinking about everybody affected by these very, very terrible storms. We're praying for you. We're thinking about you guys, and we hope you recover soon. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you all. Peace out.